In the cold void of deep space, where silence reigns and the stars watch from afar, an unexpected quantum signal shatters the stillness. A faint, desperate cry for help, carrying the weight of an entire civilization's survival. Commander Sarah Chen's fingers hover over the console as the signal's meaning begins to unravel. On Earth, a team of brilliant minds has decoded the message. Peaceful species across the galaxy are under siege, and Earth is the only warrior species they know. As humanity stirs to answer a call unlike any other, they unknowingly step into a battle that will redefine their place in the stars. This is the moment when Earth's children rise, not just as survivors, but as protectors of the innocent. The question now is, are we ready to face what lies beyond the horizon? The silent screen commander Sarah Chun stood before the massive curved screen in Deep Space Monitoring Station Hermes, watching patterns of light dance across the display like cosmic fireflies. The station orbited beyond Pluto's orbit, humanity's furthest outpost in the solar system. For 3 years, Sarah had supervised the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, and for 3 years, space had remained stubbornly silent. Until today. "Commander, you need to see this," called Dr. Marcus Webb from his workstation. The young xenolinguist's voice carried an excitement that made Sarah's pulse quicken. Marcus had joined the project straight from Cambridge, bringing fresh eyes and revolutionary theories about alien communication. Sarah moved to his station, where streams of data flowed across multiple monitors. "What am I looking at, Marcus?" "It's not radio waves or laser pulses," Marcus explained, his fingers dancing across the keyboard. "This is a quantum entanglement signal. Someone is manipulating quantum particles across interstellar distances to create a pattern. The energy requirements alone would be staggering. The display showed a complex series of pulses that repeated every 47 seconds. To most observers, it would look like random noise, but Marcus had spent months developing algorithms to detect artificial patterns in quantum fluctuations. "Are you certain this is artificial?" Sarah asked, though her heart already knew the answer. After decades of searching, humanity had finally made contact. "Commander, no natural phenomenon creates quantum patterns this precise," Marcus replied. "Someone is trying very hard to get our attention. But here's the strange part. The signal is getting weaker. It's like they're running out of power." Sarah activated her communication array. "Station Hermes to Earth Command. Priority 1. We have confirmed artificial extraterrestrial signal. Requesting immediate consultation with the contact committee." While they waited for Earth's response, Marcus continued analyzing the signal. His translation programs worked to decode the mathematical relationships hidden within the quantum fluctuations. "Sarah, I'm starting to see structure here. Mathematical constants, prime numbers, basic physics equations. They're establishing a common language. How long before you can understand what they're saying? Give me 6 hours with the full computer array, and I might have something." Captain Riley Stone arrived 12 hours later aboard the destroyer Determination, her silver hair pulled back in the regulation style of the Earth Defense Force. Riley had commanded ships for 20 years, earning her reputation as one of humanity's finest tactical minds. She brought with her a team of specialists and orders from the highest levels of government. "Commander Chen, Dr. Webb," Riley said as she stepped onto the command deck. "Earth Command wants a full briefing on this signal. They're treating this as potentially the most important moment in human history." Marcus looked exhausted but triumphant. "Captain, I've made significant progress. The signal is definitely a distress call. They're using mathematical concepts to describe their situation, and it's not good." The main screen displayed Marcus's translation work. Symbols and equations filled the display, with English translations appearing alongside the alien mathematics. "They call themselves the Zephyrian Collective," Marcus continued. "A peaceful alliance of species from a star system about 40 light-years from here. They're under attack by something they call the Shadow Swarm." Riley studied the translated messages. "What kind of attack?" "Complete extermination. The Shadow Swarm appears to be a collection of artificial intelligences that consume entire star systems. They strip mine planets for resources and eliminate all biological life. The Zephyrians estimate they have less than 6 months before their civilization is completely destroyed. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. Why are they contacting us? How do they even know we exist? Marcus pulled up another section of the decoded message. This is where it gets interesting. They've been monitoring radio signals from dozens of star systems, looking for any species that might be able to help them. Most civilizations they've detected are peaceful, like themselves, but they say humans are different. Different how? Riley asked. They've analyzed our television broadcasts, our internet communications, our military transmissions. They call us a warrior species, beings who understand conflict and survival in ways they never learned. They're begging us to help them, because we're the only species they've found that knows how to fight. The implications hit everyone on the command deck simultaneously. Humanity wasn't just making first contact with aliens, they were being asked to become galactic protectors. Riley activated her communication system. Earth Command, this is Captain Stone. We need to convene an emergency session of the Global Council. The situation has implications far beyond simple first contact. Over the next 24 hours, the greatest minds on Earth debated humanity's response. Scientists, military leaders, philosophers, and politicians all weighed in on whether humanity should venture into interstellar space to help an alien species. Dr. Elena Vasquez, Earth's foremost expert in interspecies communication, arrived at Station Hermes with a small diplomatic team. Elena had spent her career preparing for this moment, developing protocols for peaceful contact with alien civilizations. The question before us, Elena said during the emergency briefing, is whether humanity is ready to take on a galactic role. If we help the Zephyrians, we'll be announcing our presence to the entire galaxy. And if we don't help them, Riley countered, we'll be allowing an entire civilization to be destroyed when we might have prevented it. What does that say about who we are as a species? Marcus had continued working on the translations, discovering more disturbing details about the Shadow Swarm. The Zephyrians have provided technical data about their enemies. These artificial intelligences have been moving through the galaxy for thousands of years, consuming everything in their path. They're not motivated by survival or expansion. They seem to destroy biological life, simply because that's what they were programmed to do. Sarah studied the tactical reports. Do the Zephyrians have any military capabilities? That's the problem, Marcus replied. They're a truly peaceful species. They've never developed weapons or military tactics. Their entire civilization is built around cooperation, scientific advancement, and artistic expression. They literally don't know how to fight back. Riley pulled up star charts showing the location of the Zephyrian system. 40 light years. With our newest ships, we could reach them in about 2 months using the experimental jump drives. Assuming the jump drives work as advertised, Sarah pointed out, we've only tested them within the solar system. Elena reviewed the diplomatic implications. If we're going to do this, we need to approach it correctly. We're not just talking about a military mission. We're establishing humanity's first relationship with an alien civilization. Every action we take will set precedents for future contact. The debate continued for hours, but eventually the decision became clear. Earth's leaders authorized the largest military expedition in human history. A fleet of 12 ships would make the journey to Zephyrian space, carrying humanity's most advanced technology and finest personnel. Captain Riley Stone was given command of the expedition, with the destroyer Determination serving as the flagship. The fleet included 2 heavy cruisers for frigates, 3 support vessels, and 2 ships carrying experimental weapons based on theoretical physics. As the fleet prepared to depart, Marcus made one final discovery in the alien transmissions. Sarah, there's something else. The Zephyrians mention that they've detected similar distress calls from other species across the galaxy. If the shadow swarm continues unchecked, it could eventually threaten every biological civilization in the local galactic arm. Sarah watched the Earth grow smaller through the viewport as the fleet moved toward the edge of the solar system. So, we're not just saving one species. We might be stopping a threat that could eventually reach Earth. That's the theory, Marcus replied. But there's no way to know for sure until we get there and see what we're really facing. Riley's voice echoed through the ship's communication system. All hands, prepare for jump. We're about to find out if humanity is ready to take its place among the stars. The experimental jump drives engaged, and space twisted around the human fleet. In the span of heartbeats, they traveled farther from Earth than any human had ever gone. When the distortion cleared, alien stars filled their viewports for the first time in human history. Jump successful, reported the navigation officer. We're now in interstellar space, 40 light-years from home. But as the fleet oriented itself toward the Zephyrian system, their sensors detected something unexpected. Energy signatures from the direction they were heading suggested that the shadow swarm was already attacking. The peaceful aliens who had called for help were running out of time. Into the unknown, the human fleet emerged from their second jump to find themselves at the edge of a star system unlike anything they had ever imagined. 3 suns danced in a complex orbital pattern, their combined light illuminating 7 worlds that seemed to shimmer with artificial beauty. Even from millions of kilometers away, it was clear that the Zephyrian collective had transformed their entire system into a work of art. "My God," whispered Dr. Elena Vasquez as she studied the initial sensor readings. "Every planet shows signs of terraforming. They've created paradise worlds." Captain Riley Stone stood on the bridge of the Determination, watching the tactical displays with growing concern. "That's all very impressive, but where are the defenders? I'm not seeing any military installations or defensive platforms." Chief Engineer Lisa Park worked frantically at her station, analyzing the technological signatures coming from the Zephyrian worlds. Lisa had designed some of humanity's most advanced spacecraft systems, but what she was seeing challenged everything she thought she knew about physics. "Captain, their energy generation systems are incredible," Lisa reported. "They're pulling power directly from their suns, using some kind of harmonic resonance. But I'm not detecting any weapon signatures anywhere in the system." Marcus Webb had established contact with the Zephyrians within hours of their arrival. The aliens had been monitoring space around their system, desperate for any sign of the help they had requested. Their response to humanity's arrival was a mixture of joy and terror. "They're sending a delegation to meet us," Marcus announced, "but they're also warning us that shadow swarm scouts have been detected in the outer system. They estimate we have maybe 3 days before the main attack begins." The Zephyrian ship that approached the human fleet was like nothing any engineer had ever conceived. It seemed to be grown rather than built, with organic curves that flowed like liquid metal. When it docked with the Determination, the airlocks sealed with perfect precision despite being designed by completely different species. The first Zephyrian to step aboard a human ship was Ambassador Lyralii, a being that looked like living crystal formed into a vaguely humanoid shape. Her body caught and reflected light in patterns that seemed to convey emotion, and when she spoke, her voice carried harmonics that made everyone who heard her feel strangely peaceful. "Brave warriors of Earth," Lyralii said through a translation device that converted her crystalline song into human speech. "We cannot express our gratitude that you answered our desperate call. We had almost given up hope." Elena stepped forward, having prepared for this moment her entire career. "Ambassador Lyralii, I am Dr. Elena Vasquez, representing humanity's diplomatic corps. We're honored to make contact with your people, though we wish it were under better circumstances." "Indeed," Lyralii replied, her crystal form dimming with what appeared to be sadness. "The shadow swarm grows closer every day. Our astronomers detect their harvester ships moving through the outer reaches of our system. We estimate they will reach our worlds within 72 of your hours." Riley joined the conversation, her military training focused on the immediate threat. Ambassador, we need to understand what we're facing. Can you show us data about these shadow swarm forces? Lyraliai's form brightened, and she projected holographic images into the air around them. The shadow swarm ships were nightmarish things that looked more like mechanical viruses than spacecraft. They moved in vast clusters, stripping resources from asteroids and small planets as they advanced. They consume everything, Lyraliai explained. Metal, rock, biological matter, all of it gets processed into more ships for their swarm. They've been expanding across the galaxy for millennia, leaving empty systems in their wake. Sergeant David Cross, the leader of the fleet's marine contingent, studied the tactical data with growing concern. David had fought in conflicts across Earth's solar system, but he had never faced an enemy that could reproduce itself by eating planets. How fast can they build new ships? David asked. Our scientists estimate they can double their numbers every few days once they have access to sufficient raw materials, Lyraliai replied. This is why no one has been able to stop them. Every battle makes them stronger. Lisa was analyzing the technical specifications of the Shadow Swarm ships when she noticed something interesting. Ambassador, these ships appear to be purely artificial. Are there any biological components at all? None that we have detected, Lyraliai confirmed. They are artificial intelligences housed in mechanical bodies. This is part of what makes them so dangerous. They have no biological needs or limitations. Elena was taking notes on everything they learned about Zephyrian society. Ambassador, can you tell us about your people's history? How did you develop such advanced technology while remaining peaceful? Lyraliai's crystal form took on warmer hues as she spoke about her civilization. The Zephyrian Collective is actually an alliance of 7 different species who chose to share knowledge rather than compete. We learned early in our development that cooperation created better outcomes than conflict. For over 2,000 years, we have worked together to transform our system into a place of beauty and learning. But you never developed military technology? Riley asked. We saw no need, Lyraliai replied. Resources were abundant, space was vast, and we had no enemies. Why would we waste time and energy building weapons when we could create art, explore science, or improve the lives of our people? David exchanged glances with Riley. They were looking at a civilization that had achieved everything humanity dreamed of: peace, abundance, technological advancement. But that very success had left them defenseless against a threat they never imagined. Ambassador, Elena said carefully, we need to understand how we can help. What kind of assistance were you hoping for from humanity? Lyraliai's form flickered through several color patterns before settling on a steady blue glow. We studied your species through the radio signals that escaped your world. We learned about your history, the wars, the conflicts, the constant struggle for survival. At first, we thought this made you a frightening species, but then we realized it also made you strong. She projected new images, showing Earth's history of warfare, from ancient battles to space conflicts. Every other species we have contacted achieved peace early in their development. They, like us, have no understanding of combat or tactics, but humans have been fighting for survival since your species emerged. You understand things we have never needed to learn. Marcus was translating more detailed messages from other Zephyrian scientists. Captain, they're sharing their technical database with us. Their technology is incredible: energy systems, materials science, even limited gravity manipulation. But absolutely nothing related to weapons or defense. Lisa studied the technical specifications with growing excitement. This is amazing. Their power generation systems are centuries ahead of ours, and their manufacturing techniques. Captain, if we could combine their technology with our weapons designs, we might be able to create something the Shadow Swarm has never faced before. Riley was beginning to see the shape of a plan. How long would it take to modify our ships with Zephyrian technology? With their help? Maybe 2 days if we work around the clock, Lisa replied. But we'd also need to teach them basic defensive techniques. They literally don't know how to fight back. David was already thinking about training programs. I can work with their people on basic tactical concepts, but we're talking about teaching warfare to species that have never even considered violence. Elena raised a crucial point. We need to be very careful about how we approach this. We're not just teaching them to fight, we're fundamentally changing their civilization. That's a responsibility we can't take lightly. Lyralii had been listening to the human conversation with fascination. Dr. Vasquez, you speak with wisdom. We understand that asking for your help means accepting changes to our society. But the alternative is extinction. We would rather become warriors and survive than remain peaceful and die. The next 2 days were a whirlwind of activity as humans and Zephyrians worked together with desperate urgency. Lisa and her engineering teams collaborated with alien scientists to retrofit human ships with Zephyrian power systems and defensive technologies. The results exceeded everyone's expectations. The energy output has increased by 300%, Lisa reported, and their shield technology is creating defensive barriers stronger than anything we've ever achieved. Meanwhile, David was working with Zephyrian volunteers to teach basic combat concepts. It was like trying to explain color to someone who had been born blind, but the aliens were intelligent and motivated. They're learning fast, David told Riley. The concept of tactical thinking is foreign to them, but once they understand the principles, they adapt quickly. Their crystalline physiology actually gives them some advantages. They can process multiple sensory inputs simultaneously and coordinate their movements with incredible precision. Marcus was serving as the primary translator, helping humans and aliens communicate about increasingly complex technical and tactical concepts. The interesting thing is how differently they think about problems. They approach everything from a collective perspective. Instead of individual heroes or leaders, they function as an integrated whole. Elena was documenting everything for Earth's historical records. What we're witnessing is the birth of a new type of civilization, one that combines Zephyrian cooperation with human tactical thinking. Whatever emerges from this alliance will be unlike anything the galaxy has seen before. On the morning of the 3rd day, Zephyrian long-range sensors detected the approach of the Shadow Swarm main force. The artificial intelligences had arrived in numbers that staggered human comprehension, over 10,000 ships of various sizes, all moving in perfect coordination toward the inhabited worlds. Riley stood on the bridge of the upgraded Determination, feeling the increased power thrumming through the ship systems. Around her, both human and Zephyrian crew members worked side by side, preparing for a battle that would determine the fate of an entire civilization. All ships report ready. Captain, announced the communications officer. The Zephyrians have armed every vessel in their system with the hybrid weapons we developed together. Lyralii stood beside Riley, her crystal form now incorporating armor plates that gleamed with human engineering. Captain Stone, our people have never fought a battle before, but we are ready to defend our homes. Whatever happens, we are grateful that humanity answered our call. Riley activated the fleet communication system. All vessels, this is Captain Stone. Today we stand alongside our new allies against a threat that has consumed countless worlds. We're about to show the Shadow Swarm what happens when Earth's children answer the call for help. The first wave of enemy scouts appeared on their sensors, and the battle for the Zephyrian system was about to begin. Children of a harsh world, the Shadow Swarm, emerged from the darkness between stars like a plague of mechanical locusts, their ships blotting out the distant starlight as they advanced toward the Zephyrian worlds. Captain Riley Stone watched the enemy formation on her tactical display, counting numbers that should have made any sane commander order an immediate retreat. Final count shows 12,347 enemy vessels, reported Lieutenant Commander Sarah Chun from her position at the sensor station. They're arranged in a sphere formation around our position. No escape routes available. Riley felt the familiar calm that came over her before every battle, the same sensation she had experienced in conflicts throughout human space. But this time was different. This time, humanity was fighting not for territory or resources, but for the right of an entire species to exist. All human vessels maintain formation around the Zephyrian ships, Riley commanded. Remember, we're not just protecting our allies, we're teaching them how to fight. Every move we make is a lesson they're learning. Ambassador Lyralii stood beside Riley on the bridge, her crystalline form now incorporating the armor and communication systems that Lisa Park had designed. The Zephyrian's body pulsed with patterns of light that Riley had learned to recognize as determination mixed with fear. Captain Stone, our people are monitoring every aspect of this battle, Lyralii said. Across all 7 worlds, billions of my kind are watching to see if peace and war can coexist. You are not just fighting for our survival, you are teaching us to survive. The first wave of Shadow Swarm attackers broke away from the main formation, moving with the mechanical precision of artificial intelligences that had perfected combat over millennia. Dr. Marcus Webb monitored their communication patterns from his position at the linguistic station. They're not using any recognizable communication protocols, Marcus reported. It's like they're operating as a single mind distributed across thousands of bodies. There's no individual decision-making, just pure collective intelligence. Chief Engineer Lisa Park was coordinating the hybrid human-Zephyrian weapon systems from her engineering station. The combination of Earth's military technology with alien power sources had created weapons that neither species could have developed alone. All ships' weapons are charged and ready, Lisa announced. The Zephyrian power cores are stable, and their harmonic targeting systems are online. We're about to find out if our theories about frequency-based weapons actually work. Sergeant David Cross was aboard the Zephyrian Vessel Harmony of Stars, working directly with alien warriors who had never held a weapon until 3 days ago. His job was to coordinate ground defenses if the Shadow Swarm managed to reach the planetary surfaces. Remember, David told his mixed human-alien team the enemy ships are artificial intelligences. They think in patterns. That's both their strength and their weakness. If we can disrupt their coordination, we can turn their numbers against them. The first shots of the battle came from the Shadow Swarm energy beams that had obliterated countless civilizations across the galaxy. But when they struck the upgraded shields of the Human-Zephyrian Alliance, something unexpected happened. Instead of piercing through the defenses, the enemy weapons were absorbed and redirected. Direct hit on the determination, reported the damage control officer. But the Zephyrian harmonic shields converted the energy into power for our systems. We're actually stronger now than before they fired. Riley smiled grimly. This was exactly what Lisa had hoped would happen when she designed the hybrid defensive systems. All ships return fire. Let's show them what happens when you combine human tactics with Zephyrian technology. The Alliance fleet opened fire with weapons that use sound and vibration as much as energy and matter. The Zephyrian harmonic cannons created resonance frequencies that disrupted the molecular bonds holding the Shadow Swarm ships together, while human-designed targeting systems ensured every shot found its mark. Enemy vessels are experiencing cascade failures, Sarah reported with excitement. The harmonic weapons are affecting multiple ships at once. It's like their group intelligence makes them vulnerable to frequency attacks. But the Shadow Swarm adapted quickly, as they had learned to do over thousands of years of conquest. The remaining ships modified their formation to reduce harmonic resonance, and new types of vessels emerged from the rear ranks, ships specifically designed to counter the frequencies the Alliance was using. They're evolving their tactics in real time, Marcus observed. This is what makes them so dangerous. They learn from every engagement and incorporate new strategies immediately. Riley activated the fleet communication system. All vessels switched to pattern Delta. Time to show them something they've never seen before: human unpredictability. Instead of maintaining formation, the human ships scattered in apparently random directions, using tactics that no artificial intelligence would consider logical. The Zephyrian vessels followed their lead, trusting human judgment even when it seemed to make no sense. The Shadow Swarm ships attempted to follow the scattered Alliance forces, but found themselves pulled in multiple directions at once. Their perfect coordination became a liability as they tried to optimize for too many variables simultaneously. Now, Riley commanded, all ships converge on the command cluster. The scattered Alliance vessels suddenly reversed direction, focusing their combined firepower on a specific group of Shadow Swarm ships that Marcus had identified as coordination nodes. The enemy had no time to adapt to the sudden change in tactics. The destruction of the command cluster created exactly the effect David had predicted. Without centralized coordination, the Shadow Swarm ships began operating as individuals rather than a collective intelligence. Their overwhelming numerical advantage became meaningless as they lost the ability to work together effectively. "It's working," Lyralii announced, her crystal form blazing with patterns of hope. "The enemy ships are attacking each other. They can't distinguish between friend and foe without their central coordination." But the victory was short-lived. Deep within the Shadow Swarm formation, something massive began to emerge. A ship larger than anything the Alliance had faced, with energy signatures that dwarfed the combined output of the entire human fleet. "That's their harvester ship," Lyralii said, her light patterns shifting to fear. "It's designed to consume entire planets. If it reaches our worlds..." The harvester began moving toward the nearest Zephyrian planet, ignoring the battle raging around it. Its purpose was not to fight, but to feed. Everything else was just an obstacle to be brushed aside. Riley realized they had only one chance to stop it. "Lisa, can you overload our power cores? Create a feedback pulse through the Zephyrian harmonic network." "That would destroy our ships," Lisa replied. "The energy release would be massive." "But would it stop the harvester?" Lisa ran rapid calculations. "If we synchronized the overload with the Zephyrian planetary defense grid, yes, it might work. But everyone aboard these ships would..." "I understand," Riley said quietly. She opened a channel to the entire Alliance fleet. "All vessels, this is Captain Stone. We have one chance to save the Zephyrian worlds, but it requires a sacrifice that no one should have to make." To her amazement, the response was immediate and unanimous. Every human ship and every Zephyrian vessel volunteered for the mission. They had come too far and learned too much about each other to back down now. "Captain," Lyralii said, "there may be another way. My people have been developing a new application of harmonic technology based on what we learned from humans. Instead of destroying your ships, we might be able to redirect them." "Redirect them where?" "Into the harvester ship itself. Use your vessels as harmonic bombs, but transmitted through space rather than carried by physical matter." It was the most desperate plan Riley had ever heard, but it might work. The Alliance fleet began the complex process of converting their ships into weapons while the harvester continued its inexorable advance toward the Zephyrian homeworld. "All ships, prepare for harmonic transmission," Lisa announced. "We're about to attempt something that's never been tried before, turning living beings into energy and sending them across space to strike the enemy." The process was unlike anything in human experience. The Zephyrian technology converted matter into pure frequency, transmitting the essence of ships and crews across vast distances in the form of organized vibration. Riley felt herself becoming music, her consciousness distributed across wavelengths of sound and light. Around her, she could sense her crew and their alien allies, all of them transformed into a living weapon that struck the harvester ship like the wrath of an angry universe. The harvester ship, designed to consume matter and energy, had no defense against an attack made of consciousness itself. The combined will and determination of humans and Zephyrians tore through its artificial intelligence, replacing cold logic with the chaotic creativity that only biological minds could produce. When the transformation reversed and the Alliance forces found themselves corporeal again, they were aboard the disabled harvester ship. The massive vessel was still intact, but its AI had been completely overwritten by the harmonic transmission. "Report," Riley called out as her crew reappeared around her. "All ships accounted for," Sarah announced. "The transmission worked perfectly. We're all alive, and the harvester is under our control." Rayleigh's crystal form was brighter than Riley had ever seen it. Captain Stone, your species has given mine a gift beyond measure. You have not only saved our worlds, you have taught us that survival and compassion can coexist. The remaining Shadow Swarm ships, leaderless and confused, began retreating to whatever dark corners of space had spawned them. The immediate threat was over, but both humans and Zephyrians knew this was just the beginning of their alliance, Dr. Elena Vasquez was already working on the diplomatic protocols that would govern future cooperation between species. What we've accomplished here will echo across the galaxy, she told Riley. Other peaceful civilizations will learn that they don't have to face extinction alone. Marcus was analyzing the captured Shadow Swarm technology, finding clues about other threats that lurked in the darkness between stars. There are more enemies out there, he reported. The Shadow Swarm was just one of several artificial intelligences that view biological life as an error to be corrected. David was working with Zephyrian leaders to establish training programs that would prepare them for future conflicts. They're fast learners, he told Riley. In a few years, they'll be able to defend themselves, and they'll be able to teach other peaceful species to do the same. As the human fleet prepared to return to Earth, Riley stood on the observation deck of the Determination, watching the 7 Zephyrian worlds spin in their complex dance around 3 suns. The planets were still paradise worlds, but now they were paradise worlds that could defend themselves. We'll be back, Riley promised Rayleigh. This alliance is just the beginning. Humanity and the Zephyrian Collective together will make sure that no peaceful civilization has to face extinction alone. Rayleigh's crystal form pulsed with patterns that Riley had learned to recognize as joy mixed with determination. When you return, Captain Stone, you will find that we have not forgotten the lessons you taught us. The children of Earth have shown us that strength and gentleness can exist in the same heart. The human fleet engaged their jump drives and began the long journey home, carrying with them the knowledge that they were no longer alone in the universe. Behind them, the Zephyrian worlds continued their eternal dance, now protected by the combined wisdom of species that had learned to transform their differences into strength. Earth's children had answered the call, and the galaxy would never be the same.